Hello there, and welcome back to Enigmatic Retro Rewind. Right, today we're doing a new show. We're going to promote our next Cult Film Club screening.
Yeah.
So this is going to be 5 reasons why Battle Royale is a cult classic. Okay, so this is the Cult Film Club countdown, this new video series.
Sure.
We'll put these out before the screening.
Yes.
And it's basically just a little hype video, so we'll give some bullet point reasons why you should go to the screening and why you should watch the film in general.
Yeah, because we realise that some people really want to know more about the film, but then when they would come back and just hear our review, then they're like, well, I feel like, there was always a little bit too late.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we've been so busy over the summer, we actually haven't had time to even talk about Hedwig. That was our last screening.
Yes.
Great film, by the way, beautiful numbers and a fantastic level of wigs, but I'll recommend it.
Yeah.
But we need to move on because very soon Battle Royale is going to be on at the Quad Cinema on the 23rd of September as part of the Paracinema Film Festival, which is
awesome.
Which is a genre film festival, which really fits into this perfectly.
Yeah, so by the way, I'll just have to say this now. I apologise if we look very, very sweaty. Because it's a very hot September day.
Yeah.
A surprising September day. It's
So
like
warm.
nearly 30 degrees today.
You haven't seen us, but there's buckets underneath this.
I've got my hair up, which doesn't usually happen in a video.
It's so strange. It's so strange. But yeah. But don't worry, we're still going to battle through this.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so what's your first reason then?
Okay, so the way I figure out with my reasonings is things you should be watching. So the very first part of this is one little section of the film that I really, really love. And it's one of the things that most people who've never seen the film probably already know about.
Yeah, by the way, I haven't seen it either, so I'm really excited about this screening. So not only are you convincing the audience, you're also convincing me.
Right, so the very first thing, the main reason to watch it, it has a very Japanese, incredibly hilarious explanation video. Now, so let me explain. So when you think of Japan, what kind of vibe do you feel about with Japan? Like, do you feel like the idea that sometimes things are a little cutesy and little ha-ha and that kind of thing,
definitely,
right?
yeah.
Try someone trying to explain the rules of a deadly game where 42 students need to kill each other in that perky style.
Oh, that kind of reminds me of, like Fallout, the Fallout games, where you've got those really cartoony kind of, but violent kind of videos.
Exactly.
Taking the quieter approach is always worth consideration. Your agility can turn a sneak attack into a complete tactical move.
But now imagine this, imagine the rules of a full-blown deadly game of 42 students stuck on an island having to kill each other within 3 days, but explained by a very cutesy Japanese sort of girl thing going like, and now if you do not follow the rules, your head will explode.
So like an excellent sort of juxtaposition kind of,
And the thing is, it explains literally the premise of the movie incredibly well. It's also something that I wouldn't be surprised if many people have probably seen that and not the movie.
Right. Yeah.
So if you've seen that before, that's where it comes from, and it is brilliant. And also sums up the rules of the game, which is now one of the things that's really great about it is that you see this now everywhere. The term Battle Royale's everywhere. The rules is basically, the basic rules is Fortnite. It's like people land on an island, they have to murder each other, the island gets smaller and smaller until there's one person standing. So yeah, this is, the explanation of the actual game is something I'd recommend you'd watch. And if you haven't seen that, that's something I would definitely get you into.
Is that something that people could watch and it wouldn't be like a spoiler or anything?
No, because the whole point of it helps you sort of explain in a funny sort of manner the actual premise of of the movie, and it's done so well.
Right, okay. Right then, moving on.
The next one. So, like I've already mentioned, explaining all the rules. Very, very good little video I'd recommend. So, as is mentioned, there's lots of murder.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of kid-on-kid murder. And some of the set pieces are amazing. So there is, my favorite part of it to explain and just tease you in, is there's a sequence in a lighthouse. They're on the island, there's an abandoned island, there's a lighthouse sequence, and it has got so much death in it. There's a sequence where literally within 30 seconds about 7 kids are dead.
Right.
Loads of people with guns, there's that kind of thing as well. Loads of just like hilariously bizarre set pieces. The thing is, there's a fight at the end in a field that's catching fire.
Wow.
It's kind of mad
Yeah.
how there's loads of tiny set pieces in different locations and how they do all the murdering happening. It's really, really impressive and bloody as.
I mean, the idea for me of kids killing each other is quite upsetting. So how do they get around? I imagine the film's not all upsetting. It's kind of the tone of it. It's kind of.
Well,
私たち明日死ぬんだよね。
俺の他にやる気のやつが何人おる思てんねん。
Okay, so it is.
well, the point of the main plot is that they've done this new rule because they're realizing that Japan's gone to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
And they're realizing that kids are out of control. And instead of parents, I don't know, parenting, they just said, these kids are out of control. So let's make an example of them. Once a year, we'll pick the rowdiest class from school and have them murder each other.
Okay.
So, to prove a point.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is going to be chirpy. But
No.
the deaths and murder sequences are awesome. I'll recommend it.
Because I never hear anyone saying, "Oh, it's really depressing." That
It has some sad moments.
You kind of people always say that it's a really sort of cool movie and sort of like it's a cult classic for a reason, and it's not sort of like something that people just watch once and then forget about it kind of thing.
It's very much deep ingrained because
Yeah.
it's so cool at points, but also it's because it's got a lot of surprising bits with it.
Yeah.
Another part of it, this is now technically leading into part 3 of this.
Okay.
There's a very weird sense of dark humor throughout the whole movie.
Right, that always helps in this kind of subject matter.
Has to be dark. And one of the things is when the kids are given out, they're not just go right murder each other. They're given a backpack, and in that backpack there is a random weapon you can use.
Right.
Now the humor kind of falls a little bit in this, and my favorite part is the weapons part. Because some people say, I have a gun, for example. Some will say, I have a bulletproof vest. Some will just will literally have a butter knife. Someone, my favorite one, has a pot lid. And that's it.
Weird.
So the point being is it's randomized, so you don't know what
Yeah.
you get. So if you're the kid with the pot lid, you're kind of screwed.
What like a saucepan lid?
Saucepan lid, that's
Right,
it.
okay.
That's your defensive choice. Someone will say, I have pepper spray. But he's like, what's pepper spray going to do against a man with a machine gun?
Yeah.
You know? So it's very random and unbalanced.
You have to be incredibly creative.
100%, leading to all the death pieces I mentioned before. It's
Yes.
brilliant stuff. It's got a dark humor to the point that you'll have to laugh at some of it, because there's some moments just they're going, oh, that's unsettling, but so it's good to have a little bit of a laugh in it.
Yeah.
So,
Excellent. Right.
so number 4. Number 4 is split into 2 parts. I know I'm already breaking the rules. We want to do a 5, but I kind of need to break it into 2 parts here.
It's all right. I'll allow it.
All right, so number 4 are literally, there's such a variety of characters here because it's such a massive ensemble piece. You've got some great characters and some stories to go with them. Some of the kids are generally the best. We love them and they're awesome. Some of them are literally the worst, and you actually kind of want them to just get out, just go. We sit there going, I understand why people don't like you. Go away, right? But then there's some which are surprisingly tragic because they have mini side stories in between. Some which are love stories, teenage love stories. I loved you ever since forever, even though they're like 16.
Right.
Some of them leading to some very sad things. Like there's some people who say, like, I don't want to play this anymore. I'd rather just kill myself. So there's some levels of that, for example. There's tragedy here with all these characters. So you will find someone you like.
Yeah.
Whether you want to root for them or you want them executed. But, to be frank, this is where part B happens. The bad guys are really awesome. I'm not gonna lie, they're really cool.
So there's people that are really reveling in this.
100%.
Right, okay.
So you've got there are three main characters. One, you basically got Kuzuro Kikiyama. Kiriyama is. This is how badass this is, right? He was a kid who wasn't just abducted. He volunteered to be on this.
Sign me up, like, immediately.
And he basically, within first go, he finds a katana sword. And he's like, and he's like the cool kid. He's got like the thing. He's got the thing there. He's got like he's opening up with like the jacket open, and he's just like I'm just here to murder everyone. And for some reason, that's just really, really cool. You then also have the female version of this, which is Mitsuko, who is basically sort of like the femme fatale of the whole thing. She tries to seduce people and then murder them. So it's like, yeah, you're dark. Like she's like the stone cold killer. She kills the most in this movie. She's so good in this because of that.
So are the baddies like more watchable than the goodies kind of thing?
Yeah, because the good guys are kind of vanilla, but the bad guys, they are luring you in. And then finally, the best bad guy is the teacher.
みんな必死になって戦って生き残る価値のある大人になりましょうバトルロワイヤル
who's by Takeshi Kitano, aka Beat Takeshi, aka the man who now we know from TV, Takeshi's Castle.
Okay.
So he's the teacher. So he's the teacher who signed them up.
Yeah.
And so he is such a good antagonist. He is really kind of goading them. He's really like he has a genuine hatred for these kids, and you can sit there going, oh. And again, to a degree, because there's such a variety of characters, as when in a weird way, because I'm a teacher, I cannot say I'm not relating to the fact that I want to murder my children, but the idea
like taking notes.
But the idea is like I can relate to some of the stresses that this man goes through,
right?
And saying like, oh, I wish you weren't here, but not in a fashion like I want to murder everyone, Jesus. But it's such an interesting trio of bad guys that really motivates you to really watch the whole movie that way. So yeah, it's absolutely brilliant that way. So the characters, top notch.
Excellent. Right, moving on.
Finally, I think my reason is it's one of the most controversial films of the last 20 years in a sense. It has been banned in multiple countries.
Oh, right,
Because of basically of the subject of I don't want to see kids murdering each other. Of course it is, but it's very punk rock in that way. So in a weird way, when you tell people, right, don't go and watch this, what are you going to do? You're going to try and find a way to watch this. And so it became popular through like bootlegs and then DVDs. It didn't have a lot of like screenings in a lot of the countries. It came through as a cult film through DVD sales but sometimes years later, like in America, it wasn't screened in America until about a decade later.
Wow.
So from the year 2000 to about 2010, 2011, there was no screenings or any official screenings of that movie at all.
Right. I'm just going to throw this in there. What genre would you class it as?
Right. So it's weird because it's a genre that you think like it's not a horror movie per se, although it has some gore and it has like kind of horror elements in it. Because the scenario is kind of horror-ish. It's a little bit post-apocalyptic in a way. It's like an apocalyptic feel because obviously the scenario is very almost sci-fi-ish.
Okay.
Because they've got like collars and the collars allow, like if they try to escape, their heads explode. Very Running Man in that way, right? But then also it's got melodrama. It's all about love and friendship, but also it's about murdering people.
Yeah. Because IMDb classes it as an action thriller, and I was not expecting that when I saw it. Is that right?
It's got action.
Yeah.
It's got thrilling moments, but it's also got melodrama. It's got horror in it.
Because I would have thought it was, without seeing it, I would have thought it was like a sci-fi horror or something.
It's got tiny sci-fi elements, and it's got some horror elements, but it's also a thriller. It's a melodrama. It's a coming-of-age tale. It's all of these weird things together, which makes this movie so punk rock.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would say is like, this movie is encompassing of just like all this stuff, making this really cool punk rock thing with such a controversial thing to it that really you kind of want to see it. It's one of those teasy movies going like, this was banned in places, you know. Come and watch me. So
if you're a fan of A, you'll like this kind of thing. So like, because I know there's things that like Hunger Games is kind of sort of like inspired by it, isn't it?
So if
that's like the more mainstream version.
Yes, and the thing is this is what it is, right? If you like Hunger Games, you'll like this, but Hunger Games has like a story of literally like class warfare a little bit, right? Remove that and just have the idea of just like parents and kids.
Yeah.
That's an aspect instead. So yeah, if you like Hunger Games, you might like this, but Hunger Games is not nowhere near as bloody or as violent as this movie is.
Because that's a 12A kind of situation, isn't it?
So that kind of goes away.
What about Squid Game and Running Man kind of thing?
Okay, so Squid Game, this feels more like, if you like Squid Game, you'll definitely like Battle Royale.
Yeah.
Because that has that level of violence in between and people playing a game. But it doesn't have the game show element of it, but it has the whole violence and people trying to eliminate each other and the kind of the politicalness of that. So yeah, if you like Squid Game, you'll definitely like this. If you like Running Man, the concept there is interesting, but Running Man has its own campy feel. It's it's a game show, it's televised, it's designed for marketing almost, it's got more of a satire to it. This has a satire, but it's very different to Running Man.
Yes. Okay.
So it feels like if you like those movies, like Running Man and Hunger Games, you might go in here, but expect it to be more violent or more intense than those. But if you like Squid Game, you'll definitely like this.
Right then, so there's a good 5 reasons there why. Yeah, 5 and a bit. Why Battle Royale is a cult classic and why you should come to our screening. But I want to know, what are your favourite things in the comments? Let us know about this movie. And also, I'm going to hand over to Johann now to talk about the screening. So
the screening is happening on the 23rd of September. It's happening about 8:30, so a little later than we usually do. It's going to be at the Quad Cinema, and what's great about this is that it's part of the It's based part of the Paracinema Festival, which is a very good genre film festival. Runs for about 3 days. So privileged and so happy that we've been able to get a slot in there. Yeah. And so we're hoping to have a nice turnout for this. You can buy the tickets over on the Quad website, so Derby Quad. If you search that and you go on today, you'll be able to find tickets for those individually. Or if you wanted to do for a whole weekend, because you can do that, you can book for, I think along the lines of about 40 quid or so, you can book one for the entire weekend where you have access to every single movie playing as part of the festival, including Battle Royale. Brilliant. Okay, I think that's about it, isn't it? Yeah. Right, see you next time, guys. Take care. Adios.
Fancy supporting Retro Rewind in the best possible way? Head over to buymeacoffee.com/Harvey Retro and choose from 2 options to unlock exclusive full movie and album commentary videos by yours truly and guests. Select membership and join Harvey's AV Club for £3 a month. Trivia, anecdotes, and even drinking games will be on the cards with these special commentary episodes. Or, if you'd rather, just say thank you without joining the club, select support and buy us a VHS tape, which is a single £5 contribution, and don't forget to tell us which classic you're adding to our library, as it might inspire me to review that movie in future. And that's it.
はい、こんにちは。